We're standing here in Lower Arcadia and we're excited to introduce our next project. We're about to have our Expressos and Escalators event coming up soon, and we're just about to hit demo on this property, but I want to go through and show you what a half acre in Lower Arcadia looks like and why it is that we're going to tear this bad boy down. Let's get to it. So like many homes in this neighborhood, this house was built in 1959. It was slump block construction, which we talked about in some previous videos, with an addition that took place sometime probably about 20 or 30 years ago, where the garage was added on as well as an office space. One of the big reasons that we want to obviously tear this house down is because of the functional obsolescence that we've talked about in previous videos, but it's also met its lifespan in its current state. We have a lot of water damage due to the monsoon seasons that we have. The house is positioned relatively low on the lot, and we have a flood pinch point out here when monsoons occur. So occasionally when it rains, we have a lot of water that comes down the driveway and actually into our garage. In short, this is one of the properties that's ripe for redevelopment. And one of the things that we love about this property is the unique characteristics of the size of the lot. This lot is a half acre, which is hard to come by in Lower Arcadia, let alone in Arcadia proper. And so this lot is going to fetch a premium once we go on the market. And we can't wait for this project to come to fruition, which will be 4,100 square feet with a 3-car garage, a modern ranch design. This house will have its own modern flair that will help it to be integrated into the community and provide for the next 75 years people to live their best life here in this home. But before we tear this thing down, let's talk about the inside functionality and the definition that comes to functional obsolescence. Come on inside. So overall, this is an open space that essentially had an addition where the main wall resided in this location right here. The addition was put on, which is an awkward location. We have a small kitchen that isn't super functional for the way that people live in modern day homes. We have a small office, which had a Murphy bed to be able to accommodate guests that might reside in the home. But as you can see, it's right off the kitchen and not located in the most ideal space for guests that might be residing with whoever lives here. So just off the kitchen, there's a small pantry area as well as an unutilized entryway from the garage. And as we move into the space that resides here in the center of the home, we have to smash in a dining room table, a living room situation with a fireplace that doesn't really allow you to be able to utilize it for the appropriate finisher layout that would be residing within this space. And as we move to the bedroom side of the house, it's going to be your traditional 3-bedroom, 2 baths. So you have a shared bathroom that's right off here that is included for guests, as well as the first and second bedrooms, which are relatively tight for the first one. The second one's decent size. And then of course we have our primary suite, which got all sorts of funkiness going on within this space. We got a lot of obviously different transitions of the floor space. We have some, high, more traditional ranch windows that doesn't allow for as much natural light into the space. And then of course we have no door, small linen shelving that allows us to be able to come into our master bathroom suite. We've already taken care of some salvaging items, but you come in and take a peek at what we had, which is that original pink pastel tile located here in the primary. So realistically, why this home is livable in its current state, the reality is that we have 10 major points of why the interior layout doesn't work for modern day living. The first is going to be low 8-foot ceilings with a soffit that goes through into the bedrooms. Our primary bathroom isn't even close to today's standards for a standard guest bathroom, let alone a primary. We have obviously a ton of deferred maintenance, a very funky open layout that resides within the home that doesn't allow for proper finisher placement or entertaining guests, should that be the desire of the homeowner. We have a tiny kitchen with an office/guest bedroom that's right off the kitchen, which is obviously not ideal for anyone. And then we have an addition that has definitely met its lifespan with some major deterioration that you could see from the exterior perspective of the home, which we'll get to now. So as we move from the interior to the exterior, let's talk about this addition. As you can see, this is done with a standard T&G siding detail. That's an east-west exposure that definitely has met its lifespan. There's not much that we can be able to do to be able to salvage any of the addition that locates and has resided within this space. Now, the functionality created by the 2-car garage definitely helps to set this house apart, as this home originally was built with a carport, which obviously doesn't meet modern day living standards. But as you come through, you can be able to see a ton of the deterioration with the siding details that, quite simply put, are just not up to standard of what we'd like to see from not only an energy efficiency perspective, but also from a durability perspective here in the desert. You can see a ton of wood rot, and really there's no salvaging this house when it comes down to it. The reality is it's better to start from scratch, be able to get us to the appropriate height because of the flooding issues that are evident and have been evident at this property for the last couple decades. Let's show you what I mean. So one of the things that we often find is that we have a massive amount of water during monsoon season. And in the 50s and 60s, they didn't apply some of the codes that we have today for grading and drainage. That's obviously been enforced more recently by FEMA. It's a home that's on the south side of the street, so we have a lot of water that's residing down the roadway from north to south, but we also have a fair amount of water that's also coming from our east to our west. Now, luckily we have some upgraded drains at the end of the street, but sometimes these won't meet the capacity for a lot of the runoff that takes place within this neighborhood. If you notice that this house was built probably about 18 inches lower than what the street grade is. Now, not an issue if you're taking flood irrigation, which these were all flood irrigated lots at some point, but definitely an issue if there's any backups or if there's a massive amount of water that can't drain fast enough into the city system. And it's because of that that we ultimately see a lot of water damage that's located here at the garage space. And you can even see that during some of the winter storms that we had a fair amount of water that resided here in this garage space. This definitely indicates that we would have problems if we were utilizing the existing slab and not raising it to the appropriate level for today's standards of grading and drainage. Some of the other items that you'll notice is a ton of the wood rot that's located here behind this bougainvillea that has already been cut down. But basically, you can see here that the construction was less than ideal and definitely took a beating over the last couple of decades, while the previous homeowners did very little to be able to take care of this home from a maintenance perspective. I want to give a quick spoiler alert that we actually bought this residence a couple years back with the intent of developing it in the future. This gave us a head start on some of the items that we felt were absolutely necessary for this half-acre lot. And some of the inherent things that came with the property are going to benefit us during the development process. The first and most important is going to be this gorgeous pool that we'll be salvaging and keeping, as we've designed an architectural masterpiece around this pool that by today's standards would cost well over $100,000 to be able to replicate. This pool was in the right location and allowed us to be able to build an amazing residence. But some of the other things that we took place during the time that we owned the property was integrating some of the mature landscaping that will reside with the property with a ficus hedge that will allow us to be able to have ultimate privacy for our homeowners once they purchase this amazing home. You also notice that we have some dirt that's residing behind us that we've been accumulating over the last couple months from some of our other projects that will allow us to be able to get this project moving in the next couple months. So stay tuned for some of the progress that will happen on this amazing modern ranch home. As always, we'd love for you to subscribe below, especially if you're local and you want to be able to attend some of the events that we have during the construction process, and then of course the final reveal that happens for every home that we build. We look forward to any of your comments below about some of the questions about this property specifically, and as always, have a great day.